It is time now for the God's Will broadcast with Brother Chase Robinson. And now today's broadcast.
Good morning. I'd like to come to you today with a heavy heart. If you could pray for me, I'm real nervous. I'd like to talk to you this morning. If I can get out of my own way this morning, I'd like to talk to you about anxiety, depression, anger, and stress. I've done a lot of studying. I tried to figure out what troubled us most in this world for all of us. And through what I studied, I figured out anxiety, depression, and anger. It bothered us the most. And I got to reading in the Bible, trying to figure out what that meant, how we could deal with those things. And you find it in the Bible, and you find it the word used most of all, and that is worry and heaviness. And I'm here to tell you this morning that the problem with what we have with anxiety, depression, and anger, that's something we was never meant to deal with this morning. That's something that was meant to be handed over to Him this morning. He told us not to worry several times. I tell you, if you don't have salvation this morning, then you have a lot to worry about this morning. But with salvation, you don't have anything to worry about. You can hand it over to Him. We allowed our pride to get in between us and God this morning. We allow that to become a wedge or a stumbling block between us and God this morning. It's something that we're trying to look over to see God. We can remove that pride, and I'd like to go into the Word and show you a man that did. In Galatians chapter 2, verse 20 this morning, Paul was writing to the Galatians, and he said, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live. Yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself for me. I do not frustrate the grace of God, for the righteousness come by the law, then Christ is dead in vain. I'm here to tell you this morning, if you go back and do your studying on Paul this morning, that he had before he was on the road to Damascus, he had a lot of pride built up in him. He knew a whole lot about the law of the land and what he could do and the things that he knew. But this morning he said, I was crucified with Christ. But he's saying, I died with Christ. The man Paul no longer lives in him anymore. That Paul died out, and the only reason that he breathes is because of Christ this morning. I can tell you that he finally become humble. He lost the pride. He laid it aside, and he stepped out of his own way. He become humble, and with that humbleness, he had no heaviness, and he had no worry that troubled him anymore. They put him in prison, and he said that he was fine. He was happy. He could find joy anywhere because he had Christ in him. That's all that that's all it is. We got to get ourselves out of the way this morning. The pride is a stumbling block and a wedge that's holding us from Christ this morning. That's the word that's been put on my heart. We have to remove those things. In Peter 5:5, it tells us that to clothe ourselves in humility this morning, to become that humble that we're covered in a garment of humility this morning. I know that's a hard thing to do. It's hard for myself to do, but I'm telling you, we got to clothe ourselves in humility this morning. We have to become that humble. It's humble to Paul to say, Lord, I am dead. I no longer live this morning. The only reason I live is because of you. That's the word that I have. You go all the way back into Paul's life of all the things that he done, thought that he knew, and on that road to Damascus this morning, I'm telling you that he come to a point that he saw Christ this morning, and I can tell you that you can see Christ this morning just as well as Paul did, and you can be changed just as much as Paul's changed. For some reason, we have become to believe that this Bible is a fairy tale this morning. The words in these Bibles is a fairy tale this morning, and I'm telling you that these stories actually happened. I've looked at it biblically and historically, and there's nobody that can prove it completely wrong. There's nobody. You can try to find your faults in the Word, but there was no faults. These men wrote this down to things that happened. I'm telling you, Paul had become so humble this morning that he considered himself dead in this world. He considered himself gone this morning. I'm telling you, if you have salvation this morning, you holding anxiety and depression, as hard as it is a pill to swallow this morning, I'm telling you, it's your own pride that's keeping you that inside. You're holding that anger and that depression. It's not God. You're trying to figure out how to deal with that depression and that anger by yourself this morning. you ain't going to God first. You're not asking for solutions. You're not asking for help. You trying to figure it out this morning. The leading cause of depression, if you really want to look at it, it's because you're looking into yourself too much this morning. You're spending too much time with yourself this morning. You believe in something that you should be doing, or something that ain't falling along your time frame, and that leads to anxiety. That leads to depression. Those things was never meant to. It's not our worry to deal with this morning. It was meant to be handed over to Him. But like I said, if you don't have salvation this morning, you do have a lot to worry about. And boy, you have a lot of heaviness on your shoulders this morning. And I'm telling you, you don't have to have that anymore. He'll take it away from you. You can go over in Isaiah 61:10. Isaiah 61:10. It says, I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in my God, for He hath clothed me with the garments of salvation, and He hath covered me with a robe of righteousness this morning. I can tell you right now, there's your garment again. He's telling you to cover yourself in salvation. He's telling you to cover yourself in humility. Become so humble you can receive salvation this morning. It's really not that as hard as easy as it is to say. For some reason it's hard for us to do. Why can't we get our own selves out of the way and just become a follower of Christ? If you do have salvation, that pride has become a lack of faith this morning. It was based on faith. Jesus come with the intent that we serve Him with faith this morning, and a lot of us have a problem with holding on to that faith. For some reason, we feel like He needs our help with our problems. He never needed our help to begin with. He never needed He knew the law couldn't be fulfilled in the Old Testament. He didn't need their help to fulfill the law. What He needed was them to come to Him this morning. That's what He needed. A lot of people couldn't grasp onto that then, and people say that this book's old, but I'm telling you, I live in a world and I see people that still live by that every day, that they can't push through and just live off faith this morning. They cannot just live off the faith that Jesus Christ came and died and rose again, and He done that for you, just as He did for us. Isaiah 3, or chapter 61:3, I'm telling you this morning, you can hand it all over to Him. It said, to appoint unto them that mourn unto Zion, to give unto the beauty for ashes, the oil for joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. I'm telling you this morning, if you'll just hand it over to Him, He'll give you. You can give Him your ugly for His beauty this morning. You can give Him you can give Him all your sorrows for His joy this morning. You can give Him your heaviness and your worry, and He'll give you a garment of praise this morning. I'm telling you, all you got to do is get yourself out of the way and allow Him to give you those things. It just says those that mourn unto Zion, those that pray to God, those that ask for Him to come into their life, and those that keep Him in their life, and those that strive to become Christ-like, those that strive to become as good as they possibly can be, dig in the Word and try to get as close as they can to Him. I'm telling you, you just got to pray unto Him, and you can trade your worry for Him. You can trade your ugly for beauty this morning, and He'll bring joy and peace into your life that you've never known. But for all that to happen, you got to have salvation this morning. And if you don't have salvation, He's sitting there waiting on you. It ain't Him that's in the way. It ain't Him that don't want you there this morning. It's you not wanting to have the faith and the understanding that He done all He done for you. I know it's a hard thing to swallow, but I'm telling you this morning, He done it for you. It don't matter what you done prior to today. It don't matter what you done yesterday. We can't do anything about that. We can start today and worry about what we're going to do tomorrow. And I'm telling you, with Jesus, tomorrow's a whole lot prettier of a day for me. I can see tomorrow a whole lot clearer than I could see a few months ago. I can see a lot of things a whole lot clearer. He brings a peace and a humbleness into your life. I'm telling you this morning that you're holding yourself back from a world that can be a whole lot more beautiful than it is today. I get to walk hand in hand with Christ. I get to have that personal relationship with Christ this morning, and I'm telling you, you can too. I have nothing no more than anybody else can have. All I have is salvation and a hunger to dig in this Word. I have nothing more than that. I have no special ability, no nothing. I'm telling you this morning, you can have the same things that I've had. You can have all this. All you got to want, you got to have salvation. You got to believe in that, and you got to have a hunger to dig in the Word. You can trade your worry for salvation this morning. You can trade those things for salvation this morning. The only thing holding you back this morning is yourself. I'm telling you that you can trade all those things, that heaviness, you can trade it for salvation, and He will robe you with a robe of righteousness this morning. He will cover you this morning. He will put a garment and cover you with salvation, is what it tells us. And I'm telling you, it sure is warm under here when He covers me. I don't worry about a thing out here in this world. The things that I can't control is not a worry of myself. I give it to Him and let Him worry about it. He seems to lead me in the right directions to deal with those things. I just have enough faith to know that He's got it this morning, and I'm proud to say that He's got it this morning. You can trade that worry for salvation, but I tell you, you got to, pride must fall before you can rise this morning. You got to get the pride out of the way. In Proverbs 16:18, it said, pride goeth before destruction this morning. And I'm telling you, if you're holding on to that pride this morning, you will fall. And when you fall, you will bring the worry and depression into your life. You will bring that heaviness into your life. It's not God allowing it into your life. It's you with a lack of faith allowing those things to overcome yourself because you've got a wedge between you and God this morning. I'm telling you, all you got to do is remove the wedge this morning. If you remove that wedge, you no longer feel like you're standing there looking over something, trying to find God. He's clear as day, and He's standing there. I sure am grateful that He's standing there for me, and every day I see if I can get a step closer to Him this morning. If you just got to remove yourself and let the pride fall and trade your worry for that salvation this morning, He will clothe you. He will put something. He will cover you. He will give you a humbleness that you've never seen before, to the point that you'll say that this old man is dead, and the only reason I live is because He gave me life. I'm telling you this morning, it's you that's in the way. It's not God, and it's not this world. The world's still the same way as it was back then. And if you'll get in this Bible and read about the people that was back then to now, it's still the same people in the same old world and the same glorious God this morning. He promised them a whole lot of things, and He fulfilled those promises this morning. And I'm telling you, all you got to do is come to Him with a humble heart, and He will give you everything that He promised them this morning. You just got to remove that pride out of the way. I'm telling you, if you just remove the pride, He'll take that, He'll trade that worry for salvation this morning. You can lead this life a whole lot more abundantly this morning. He promised us life more abundantly, and I'm telling you that you can have that life. You can live that abundant life this morning. You just got to remove yourself from it. You got to remove yourself out of the equation and just have faith that He's going to take you in the right direction. He don't need your help. He needs your faithfulness this morning. He don't need your help. He just needs you to be there and calling on His name this morning. And if anybody if you feel anything on your heart this morning, you feel like something's tugging at your heart this morning, whether you have salvation or not, if you don't, I pray that you can find salvation this morning. I pray that you can answer that knock at your heart this morning. I pray that you can. And if you have salvation and you've allowed that pride to come into your heart, just remove the pride. Just get yourself out of the way so you can see God clearly and for what He is this morning. You can get all that out of the way this morning. But if you need salvation this morning, I'd like to go to a word in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning with a humble heart. So thankful and gracious that you come into my life, and I pray that somebody's out there and you can come into theirs this morning. I pray we're sorry for the things, all the things that we've done. We're so gracious and thankful that you sent your Son, the ultimate sacrifice, to die on the cross, and that you allowed Him to rise again this morning, that he could uphold the promises that He set, because He's the only person that ever set any promises that meant a thing, that held any water. And I'm telling you, you can take off. We thank you for all that you've done this morning. and just pray that you can come into somebody's life this morning and you can change, you can bring some peace and some joy into this world, because it's not the world, it's the people in it that's brought the evil. It's not you, Lord, it's the people. It's a lack of faith that you're bringing it into their heart this morning. Yeah, we're looking for the Prince of Peace in the world, but we're looking for it everywhere else. And I come to you this morning with a humble heart to pray that somebody can get something out of what you gave to me this morning. If you have, I pray that you get down on your knees and you pray to Him for the salvation He can give this morning. In Jesus' humble name I do pray. Amen.
You have just heard the God's Will broadcast with Brother Chase Robinson. You can get in touch with Brother Chase at 404-430-1795, 404-430-1795. And make sure you listen next Saturday at the same time for the God's Will broadcast with Brother Chase Robinson.